Uh, it's always like the most awkward part starting the videos.
Yeah.
Anyways. All right, I got Sergeant First Class Tressider, and we're going to do an interview today. I think I just hit 100 subscribers on this channel, so it's kind of tight. But other than that, Sergeant T, introduce yourself.
Sergeant Tressider, been in Army 21 years, about to retire at 22. Third time to Korea, 4 deployments, married, 21 years, all that good stuff, so,
Hell yeah. All right, so I guess
kids.
just hop into this shit. All right, so what made you want to join?
Honestly, my first son's not with my wife, so I was paying child support on him. My wife was pregnant at the time. We were still just dating. So the job I had went away. It was seasonal, so I had to find a job so I could, pay my child support, take care of my new son, and, start paying on my school loans.
What was the job that you previously had?
I was working...
Because you joined young, right?
I joined at right at 20 years old.
20
almost 21 years old. I was working at amusement park.
Okay.
So they were only open seasonal. So that job went away. Nothing was really available at the time.
So how did you choose the MOS? So 13 Juliet was the original MOS, right?
So I went to go into the Air Force first.
Yeah.
They were at lunch. I know everybody's like, oh, that's not true. No, seriously. Walked to the Air Force recruiter's office. They had a sign up, said out to lunch. Walked over to where the Army recruiters were. Same shopping center, just different building.
Yeah.
Walked in there. They had the Army, the Navy, Marine Corps. They were in that building, and I walked in. I said, hey, here's my situation. Can't find a job. I'm paying child support. I have another kid and student loans. What can you do for me? So, they start writing up the contract, did the ASVAB, because I only have, so I've got a GED, but I've got college time. So my college time allowed me to come in as a high school graduate, but I was still restricted on what jobs I could take, and I still had to score higher on the ASVAB because of having a GED.
Okay.
So the only thing the college allowed me to do is it allowed me to come in as a PFC instead of a private, and it allowed me to come in whenever I wanted to.
Okay.
So looking at the jobs that were available, because based on my score, I could do whatever I wanted, but based on education level, I was restricted. So I came in as a 13 Echo.
13 Echo, which did that move into 13 Juliet over time?
It was 13 Echo, then they merged that and became 13 Deltas, and then with the merge in
13 Juliet.
17, we became 13 Juliets.
So 13 Echo at the time was what?
Cannon fire direction.
Okay, so
So
when you joined, were they pushing hey, this is going to be badass, you're going to go into combat, you're going to fuck shit up, or was it
No, it was, I told them I went to college for computers.
Okay.
And they're like, well, this, you deal with computers a lot with this. So I was like, all right, cool. Just kind of looked at it. It didn't seem, I wasn't worried about the whole combat thing because that wasn't one of the things that was prevalent in 99 and 2000 when I came in. None of this stuff had happened. So it was like, okay, it's a decent enough job. Be working in, on computers. Didn't realize I'd be in the field as much, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'd already been, so my mom's retired Air Force, so I was in the system already for my whole life. So I already knew what the military was about anyway. So
was that
change? Did
you originally want to go Air Force because your mom was in the Air Force? Or
no, because I knew the differences in how they take care of people. So we all joke about, if the Army wanted you to have a girlfriend, they would have issued it to you. Well, the same concept. So when you look at, back then, when you looked at how the different branches took care of people, because I knew people that were Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Army. So Navy has the best family support system because the sailors are gone 6 months out of the year all the time.
Boat somewhere.
Right. Marines have no kind of real support for anybody because they're all about the, best of the best,
handle it or
kind of like Will Smith says on Men in Black, best of the best, sir, with honors. They're looking for the best people.
Yeah.
So they don't want you to come in with family issues already.
Got to develop those in
right. Air Force takes care of their single soldiers or single airmen the best. Like their facilities are the best out of all the branches.
Best defects for sure.
Best defects, best living conditions in general. Like if you show them how you live, now like, double that for the Air Force. Kind of deal.
So working washers and dryers.
But the Army, it's not the best at anything, but they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
They have a lot of programs in place to help with that.
Yeah.
So
you're already in the service
mm-hmm.
in 2000. Yep. 2001 hits. What are your thoughts? 9/11.
So funny story is I was actually here in Korea.
Okay.
The building our staff sergeants live in.
Yeah.
That was the building I lived in. It was like 10 o'clock at night, because
time difference.
Eastern zone, time zone. So about 10 o'clock at night, excuse me, getting ready to go to bed. One of the soldiers comes running through the barracks talking about the World Trade Center is on fire. And I'm like, whatever, man. So I turn on the TV. I'm old enough to remember when they had bombed the garage at the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
I thought they were doing a remembrance, but I was like, okay, that was like mid-90s, early to mid-90s, because it was actually in 93. I was like, it's kind of weird to do it in,
why would they be
not a 10-year, it's like, timeline didn't make sense, and I'm just watching it, and I realized the top of the building's actually burning. Look in the top corner of the TV, and it said live, and then I watched the second plane hit, turned off the TV, and to myself, I'm like, well, it's about to be an early morning. About 3 o'clock in the morning, they called us all on alert. Everybody spun up, went, and from then on, it's been, the 9/11.
Yeah.
The stories of trying to get on post was ridiculous. Like where I left my wife in Virginia, they lived 5 minutes from post. It took them 4 hours to get on post.
Yeah.
Because of all the traffic, they were checking every car, thoroughly, not just when they do.
Yeah, not just right. Scan the shit.
They were looking at everything. Everybody got out of the car. They opened the trunk. Every compartment on the car got open. They looked through everything on every single car that went through. You don't see that level of efficiency. Well, not efficiency, but that level of scrutiny until we hit, FPCon Delta.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, checking the IDs like we do now is one thing, but, the amount of
they're
stuff
fucking
that they
scrubbing it.
Exactly.
Everything.
So, we got put on details here. We were doing guard at our barracks, armed guard at our barracks with a lot
Were they worried there was going to be backlash in Korea, or was it just
No, it was just one of those things okay, this is what's going to happen. And then so we also got put on gate guard, where we were checking vehicles as they came in, so the taxis and stuff.
Yeah.
They would come in, and that was the first time I ever saw a propane tank for a gas tank in a car.
Yeah.
So I'm doing an inspection.
Sitting there this is fucking awesome.
Right. So I'm doing the inspection around the car. All right, open the trunk. He opens the trunk. I take 4 steps back. What is that bright, shiny cylinder in the back of his car? It's a propane tank. He's like, no. Gas tank. I was like, no, gas tank goes under the car.
Yeah. That's just not supposed
propane. To be. Okay. So he kind of explained it, and then it's okay, cool. I actually have done some research into the propane gas, engines. It's actually really good for the cars, but it's a lot of money to switch them over.
Yeah, and I'm sure fucking getting into
it was just weird because that's the first time you see it, and you knew about bombs going off, and they told you look for anything out of the ordinary. Well, that was out of the ordinary.
Yeah, especially for us in the States, we don't fucking have that.
Exactly.
So at that point, what was the climate like with your family? Were they hey, we know he's about to go to war? Was it
So, everything kicked off in 01. I was here. I re-enlisted to go back to Fort Sill. So got home, picked up my family. We drove back out to Fort Sill. nobody really knew what was going to happen. Like, we were a little anxious, but like Fort Sill's never deployed like that.
Yeah.
So, because even though we were an FA brigade, kind of like we're in here, but just the mentality, like you knew the ground forces or the bigger divisions would be going.
82nd, all that.
Right, 82nd,
they're headed out.
Right, we knew they were going to leave because they'd already started pushing to Kuwait or to Afghanistan, because at 9/11, Afghanistan was the big push, and then 03, everybody started shifting to Iraq with handfuls going to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, we were kind of in that weird bubble, like we didn't know what was about to happen. So.
All right, let me see what else I got. Did you say how long you been in?
22 years, yeah.
22 years?
Well, going on 22.
Old man in the Army.
Old man.
First duty station, Korea.
Nope. First duty station, Fort Sill.
So you rotated out?
No.
So how were you over here then?
Okay, so I came in 2000.
Okay.
Finished. So when I enlisted, I did basic AIT and my first duty station at Fort Sill.
Okay.
A year and a half in, I came here.
Okay.
I PCS'd.
So they permanently changed you over here.
Right.
Then you went back to Fort Sill.
Then I re-enlisted, went back to Fort Sill.
And that was just for sustainment?
Right, to get stability and stuff like that. So, because we knew we knew the area. I have family that lives outside of Oklahoma City, and based on my MOS, I can only go certain places.
Yeah.
So trying to kind of figure out what worked, and then with my wife's health stuff and things, like we knew Oklahoma wasn't bad for her.
Yeah.
So
you just wanted to keep it where you guys knew it would be all right.
Right.
Didn't have a lot to worry about. That makes sense. Just like being on the topic of like war deployments, things like that. When you got that initial, I don't know if they called you or whatever they did, but when they notified you, like, hey, you're getting deployed, what were the feelings?
So it was kind of like, so we actually found out probably, I would say 6 months ahead of time.
Okay.
Like they brought all the guys that, like the whole unit came in, they briefed us, hey, we're getting ready to deploy, this is our timeline roughly, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, my wife was pregnant, so kind of dealing with that and all kinds of other stuff, and it just like the tempo picked up because we had to make sure we went and like that we were trained up, because we were going out as an artillery unit.
Yeah.
We kind of had a feeling it was going to happen anyways because of how our battalion commander was at that time, like his mentality, and we knew things.
Yeah.
That
stuff started shifting, and
we knew things about him that I'm not going to put back out there. But
yeah.
We knew things, and so we knew any opportunity that would arise, he was going to jump on it.
Yeah.
To send us out. So. Time comes closer and closer and closer, and it's like getting really real, and we're like, okay, babe, this is a real thing. So, you got to sit down and have that hard talk with the family, make sure she's got all the phone numbers she needs to do whatever. We were also going through some family stuff back in Virginia, so it was kind of like, it was a real weird timeline for us. So, for me personally.
So hard talk, does that include like, hey, I may not come back, and what is the plan that happens? We had that talk, and it was kind of, it's sombering. Yeah.
Because you don't want to think about it like that, but at the same time, like me and a handful of my buddies, like we all came together because our families all hung out anyway. So we all came together and we're like, look, doesn't matter, we're all coming fucking home.
Yeah.
Like we will make it home. The end. So whatever we had to do, if war crimes or not, it didn't matter. We was coming home.
It's like we're fucking
right.
We're going there. We're coming back. Like,
you know how we left them a handful of fucking helicopters?
Yeah.
With this last little pullout, bro, we would have taken something and gotten home. Like I'm dead ass.
Yeah.
So but our families all came together really good, and so they all took care of each other as well.
Yeah.
So like. Soldiers had the option to send their families home if they wanted to, things like that. But like, I had to sit down in conversation with the wife, and with my buddies, and we're like, look, who's sending their families home? And none of us were sending our families home. We're like, okay, check it out. Y'all are your support system. We're gonna take care of each other. Y'all take care of each other, kind of deal. And it helps, when you got kids and stuff. So like, the ones that hung out with my group, all of the families were family oriented because we all had kids. We all
everybody.
Nobody was worried about that party life.
Yeah.
Even though we're all younger-ish, because
still in the Army and everything, but at that point,
because like I said, I came in, I turned 21 in AIT.
Yeah.
I wasn't out trying to drink. That wasn't even part of my mindset to party like that.
Yeah.
Like I
you got a wife and kids at home.
Right. I know, like I grew up really fast, really early in my life. So I understood the responsibilities of a family. So I'm happy sitting at the house.
Yeah, just chilling.
The wife kind of, she's like, okay, let's go do something. Well, what do you want to do? I make her make the decisions because at the end of the day, she knows I'm happy just sitting there.
Yeah.
So.
It makes sense. So you had family was kind of taken care of by the other family in the Army, which is actually like a huge point in the Army, just like having connections, having that community around you. So first day, where'd you go on the deployment?
So we ended up outside of Ramadi.
Okay. Ramadi was a big deal.
Yeah.
Ramadi was huge.
At that time, it was a real big deal, and then we cleaned it up, turned it over, and then it went to shit.
So
it is what it is.
First day, boots on ground. What was the feeling?
So it's kind of weird. So when you deployed back then, you went into Kuwait. You had to wait for your equipment to show. So like we spent like a couple weeks in Kuwait waiting on our equipment.
Okay. So it wasn't just like boom, throwing the wolves.
Right. So we had time to prep all our gear, get everything the way we needed it. We got trucked up into Iraq, then dropped, and then we drove.
Okay.
Once we started driving, we knew where we were driving out to, and we're just, following along the convoy.
Yeah.
And we're watching everything, like everybody's head's on a swivel for the most part. You're paying attention to everything. You can't say, oh, well, look for this thing that looks out of place because at that time,
you don't know
everything's out of place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, but.
So being over there initially, did you feel protected by the military, or was it like, no, this is definitely a battlefield, this is a war zone?
No, I felt protected, but in a different way. So like as we're driving out there, we're like, we got our CDCs on, we're talking shit to each other, blah, 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 listening to the radio chatter, and like the area we were driving through, like there was nothing. It was just like you had houses.
Sand and rocks?
Well, no, like you had houses and stuff like that, but they were really interspersed. Very few people coming out. Like it was funny though because we were driving past this one house and there's a couple little kids standing outside, waving at us. So you wave back. You be nice to people. Yeah. Because it is what it is.
We're
right. The kids ain't at fault. And and I learned years later, and if we get into that, I'll explain that a little bit. But just in general, like everybody was just kind of like meh. Like all the people we saw out there, nobody was throwing rocks at us initially. Nobody was trying to fucking run up on our vehicles and shooting at us. Yeah. Initially when we went in, and of course that's after the first initial battle. But you got to remember the initial battles were all for parts of Baghdad. Yeah. Not the outlying areas. Like Ramadi wasn't really that bad. Even when we got there, like we took and moved in on a women's university. We were out in a field area, we cleared it, and then we started to clear out the buildings in the university because we had it secured. They came in and they started fixing it up, and then they started having classes again. So initially nothing really tragic was going on.
No. When did it initially change?
So probably, there were things that we had to do after we got there. We were doing patrols and stuff like that. We would get little pot shots taken at us, stuff like that. So we would handle that with extreme prejudice at times. you know, so it kind of went on throughout the time, but my biggest hiccup, or, you know, the first guy we lost from our unit was in August. So we got there, we got to Kuwait in April, and then May I came home on end of April. No, sorry, middle to end of May I went on emergency leave, came back, and then like 2 months later we lost the dude. We're like, fuck, you know, it was hard.
Shit got real.
Well, because there had already been a couple of incidences, but like the first actual loss was then. Like we had dudes that had gotten hit with IEDs and stuff like that, you know, and you know we did what we had to do to take care of that.
Yeah.
But like that one, just like nobody saw it coming, nobody knew, and we had a handful of people that got hurt on it.
Were you in that particular soldier close?
Not really. Like he had just gotten. So he was a prior service guy, got out, came back in, and he was only in country for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It hit everybody rough because he came in. You know how I am.
Yeah.
You know, I'm cordial. I'm nice to everybody. You know, everybody's like, okay, I fucks with him.
Yeah.
He was that kind of guy. You know, like he had that aura about him. Like, okay, I'm gonna fucks with him.
Yeah, he just like had that presence. Like,
Yeah.
he's a cool dude. Like,
Yeah,
just gets his
he's
shit
just
done and
there.
goes about it.
Yeah, and so he's talking to everybody, whatever. You know, I talked to him on a couple of occasions, but there were a handful of dudes that were with him when it happened, and they got hurt, and like those dudes I was close to. But like he was the first one we lost, so it was kind of really rough.
Did you have any in that first tour? Was there any firefights as far as like M4s or M16s at the time you guys were using?
So we had M16s, you know, muskets. It's okay. I deployed with it twice. There were some firefights, but none of the like big drawn out stuff that you hear about.
Like hours and hours and fucking
like
pinned down somewhere.
We had a couple incidences. We were I was in the back of a Humvee. It got blown up. We hit something and it blew up. It was actually kind of like a Pepsi can that was buried under the ground. So like it did more scare and cosmetic damage than anything severe.
So it wasn't anything like...
We jumped out. We saw the dude a bunch of us jumped out of the back of the Humvee because we were in soft shell Humvee. Yeah. Right. You know the high backs. You know 4 or 5 dudes deep in it, and we jumped out and we started shooting back. And basically held the area down until they're like, okay, it's clear. We jumped back in and we rolled out to where we were going. There was another incident where, you know, our gate guard at the little area we were securing, he saw some stuff, and so he fired warning shots, and he thought he was getting into a gunfight, which he wasn't. He just didn't understand that ammunition he was using at night. Well, the ammunition he was using makes small
tracers in there.
Well, no, so it armor-piercing incendiary rounds. So, like when they hit the ground, they explode. Yeah, they make a little flash, and when you're looking through NVGs, he thought it was coming back. He thought they were shooting at him. He thought it was muzzle flashes, and we got on the.
So just a little practice run.
I got on the radio and I cussed him out. I'm like, dude, you're a moron. Like, how do you not know that's what those rounds do? Yeah. You know. So with that, and it was one of those things.
How many people did you run into? Because this would have been new for everybody. Right. How many people did you run into that were completely new to this whole thing that like didn't know simple stuff that could have gotten them killed?
So a lot of them, a lot of people, because it's you know, we go through basic training, we go through all that stuff, and everybody kind of, you get that crash course in how to be an infantryman, how to be a rifleman. Yeah. So like once you start training in your MOS, you know, you kind of put all that stuff away. Yeah. And so like it was new to us, but it wasn't. Like the way we operated was newer because we were doing, like, we were basically pulling 3 different types of duties out there. You know, we were acting as artillery guys, we were also acting as security dudes on our area, and then we were also doing patrols. So that kind of But after a while, you just kind of pick it up and you're like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. We're good.
We know what we got to do.
We didn't have a lot of guys that it was like people did dumb shit that was going to get them killed if they were by themselves.
Yeah.
But we had enough people around them that it didn't happen.
Yeah, you could square people away, like in that instance.
We took care of ourselves.
So,
each other.
How long was the first deployment?
All of my deployments were 1 year.
1 year. So during that 1 year, so you come back, your family's good, everything's good at home. How was the relationship with your family after you came back initially? Was it like you gotta re-know each other? Was it like
kind of, but not really. So like so at that time, so like my oldest son, he didn't live with us.
Yeah.
He was with his mom. So I had my other son, and then my wife had our daughter right after I deployed. So like getting to know her was a little bit different. My son, kind of off-putting at first, but like we also had a different relationship anyways.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird because like when you come back, they give you classes, and you know you have to sit through these reintegration classes, and they're like, hey, you know, expect things to be different, this, that, and the other. Don't jump in and just try to be, you know, right back into where you were. Like, mom's been taking care of everything. So they kind of explain it to you before you get home. But me and my wife stayed in contact as much as feasible. So it wasn't like we had to relearn each other. Like, yeah, there were some things that changed with me. My patience level went away. Like, I got really, really quick-tempered. I didn't lash out physically at anybody, but I was just really quick-tempered. I wasn't for the bullshit. Like, you know, if you're gonna come at me, come at me.
Yeah. It's like, cut the shit.
Yeah, just don't come up, hey, so, da, 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 da. Like, no, come up and ask me what you're gonna ask me, and let's keep it moving. Like, I just wanted to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Right?
Cut it, keep shit pushing.
Yeah.
On to the next thing.
So, but me and the wife, like, we got along, you know, great. You know, because we found ways, even while I was deployed, to stay connected.
Okay.
We weren't able to call each other every day.
Yeah.
We didn't have internet access like we do now.
So no like Skype or anything like that?
Not initially. Towards the end, well, in the middle, we got, when we moved to a different area, we ended up getting what they call spyware nets, or now it's like warrior net type stuff. It's basically internet in a box, right? So they send out this server, handful of computers, handful of VoIP phones, you know, voice over IP phones.
Yeah.
You buy your time, and then you make your phone calls. You can get on the internet. They had webcams and stuff. So, you know, you could use it when you had time to. But even before we had that, like, we had a DSM phone, and you would sit in line for 3 hours to make a 15-minute morale call that didn't cost you anything, but you're calling back to one of the switchboards in the States or wherever. You're calling a switchboard. They have to punch in the number that you're trying to connect, and then they connect you like old school. You know, you see the movies, you know, like, what number, and then they pull the plug. Basically like that. First deployment, the guy that was running the switchboard at Fort Sill, he got fired.
Really?
Because he started they had never had that volume of calls coming in, so he started hanging up on people. Like, he's like, yeah, I'll connect you, and then he'd just drop the call.
Drop it.
It's like, bro, I sat in line for 3 hours to make a 15-minute call.
Yeah.
Like, once you hang that phone up, they cut your time. Like, they're like, all right, you're done, go.
That's shitty.
Right. So, like, if nobody answered, you're like really.
Now, at that point, is that civilians or is that an MOS?
No, that
like a switchboard operator.
It was an MOS.
Okay.
It's one of the common MOSs, but
so he got booted.
He didn't get booted out of the military, but like he got pulled from that position.
Okay.
And sent away because a bunch of spouses showed up at the switchboard, like, hey,
yeah, I could imagine.
What the hell?
Yeah.
But no, it was like, so, you know, we found ways to keep in contact. You know, an art that's lost on a lot of people now is writing letters.
I was just about to ask about writing letters.
So, and you're probably going to ask about mail. So mail out there, didn't even start coming in until 3 months in. Like, we weren't getting mail. It's one of those things, like, when they ship things, they have certain levels of what gets prioritized. So it goes cargo, mail, personnel, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, when I came back from emergency leave, I actually sat in Kuwait for another week and a half waiting for a flight back up because they kept having cargo and mail coming in and there were no seats available. Yeah. Because the plane was overweight. Yeah. It's like, nope, you gotta wait.
Gotta go.
And I had to go in every day. Like, every day I'm going up to the manifest dude, like, hey, any slots? Nope. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. And
that's wild,
bro.
Just like, send me out there. Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right, so I know, like, you and I have personally talked offline about, like, soldiers who want to deploy, soldiers who are like, fuck yeah, like, let's go, I want to go kill people, stuff like that. Were there a lot of people like that with you on your deployments?
So, the first deployment, everybody was just kind of like there. Second deployment, you had a couple guys that were like, yeah, I want to get out there and da-da-da-da, but then they realized that the mission set we got put on didn't allow itself for that, so then they chilled out really fast, but at the same time, like, you could see they were itching. Yeah. Then when you get to the third and the fourth deployment, you know, you had brand new soldiers coming in. Yeah, I joined so I could go kill people. Yeah. And they're that way for about a month until they get shot at or until they get blown up.
Is that the big change, you think? Like, when they actually see something happen, it's like, oh, fuck. Like,
because, like I said, I deployed 4 times to Iraq, so I watched the change. So from 2003 till 2011, the only year I was not in Iraq for any part of it was 2007. So I watched the change in the people. Yeah. And this is what I was going to tell you earlier. So, like, I watched them change from, like, okay, they knew we were coming in, to, okay, they know we're here, to, you know, whether or not they like us or not, it's not really relevant. Yeah. To, they're like, okay, cool, you're here to help. And then towards the end, it's like, okay, they're here, whatever. Yeah.
It is what it is.
I got the opportunity in my third deployment to sit down with a couple of the Iraqi Army officers and have discussions with them. And one of the things we talked about was, like, the people of Iraq, like, how they felt about us. And he broke it down. He's like, honestly, the only ones that care are the ones that have something to gain from it. Yeah. Right? Whether it's us leaving or us staying, and it's mostly political. As far as the normal everyday people, they just want to be left alone to do what they got to do to survive. Yeah. You know, they want to take care of their families. They want to make sure they got food, water.
It's like normal living.
Exactly. Same as in the States. Like, everybody acts like they care about the politics, but they only care about it every 4 years.
Yeah. Right? They care about it when it's relevant.
Right. At the end of the day, we don't care one way or the other as long as they don't encroach too much on our freedoms, and they allow us to live our life and do what we got to do. Yeah. If taxes go up, we get mad, we start crying about it, but at the end of the day, we're going to end up paying them.
Yeah. That just is what it is.
But you personally, you want to be able to get out, go home, and just chill. Yeah. And do what you got to do to make that money and keep moving.
So with that, so you got to speak with Iraqi soldiers. That I've heard a lot about is soldiers turning against the Americans who were there. So was that the first deployment, the third, the second, and the fourth? Was that something that just popped up? How did that work?
So so I think more what the question is like, did we have backstabbers? Yeah. Not specifically, right? Okay. Like, they didn't come and work for us. So, like, we had interpreters and stuff like that, and local guys that would come do work for us. Yeah. Initially, they're not that way. They weren't that way. They didn't come in with the idea of, like, okay, I'm going to start working for these guys and then I'm going to turn on them. Yeah. It becomes a family thing, right? So, like, they stayed pretty secretive about who they're working for initially. And over time, people just start to talk, or people find out, and then their families get harassed. threatened,
Yeah.
and it goes down a dark spiral that, like, and some of them have come up and apologized. You know, they're like, "Hey, sorry, I had to do this."
So those are the people that,
Like, those are the ones
those are the people being influenced by the people who do have something to gain.
right?
Okay.
Or like the terrorists, like ISIS and stuff like that, Taliban coming in. They push into these smaller communities where we're trying to win the small communities.
Yeah.
Because if we can get the whole outside of the area to be on our side, they're going to tell us when stuff's about to go down. And we had them like that. Like, we had a lot of them that way, but it's also about how the unit is when they come in, right? So there's different ways of looking at it. If you look at, like, Ramadi, for instance, like, when we got there, Ramadi wasn't too bad. Like, there were pockets of stuff going on, but it was handled quick, fast, and efficiently. And then the population themselves were all about, okay, you know, these dudes aren't here to screw us over. But then when you have new units come in and they want to flex their muscle, so then they go back to harassing people
every couple months and everything.
Right.
And
so they start harassing the local population. So then that's what allows the insurgents to come in behind them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, see, these Americans, we were telling you they're bad.
Yeah.
So
and now they're out here flexing on them, and
yep.
it makes everything look bad. Was it all horror stories out there? No.
You make same as like right here, like here in Korea, you got horror stories about Korea, but then you got
Juicies.
I don't know. I don't fucks with it. But you also make a lot of good friends while you're here. Same as in Iraq.
Yeah.
Right? When you're deployed, like, so PCSing here to Korea, you get a chance to meet other people.
Yeah.
PCSing or deploying, you're with the same people you've already been with for a while.
Just getting a lot more
closeness. Back in the day, you know, before they had all the freedoms that are out there, really, like my last deployment, I could call my wife every day. I could see her on the computer every day. Like, I had those kind of freedoms. First deployment, you didn't have that, so you had hours on end where we're staring at each other,
just sitting there,
and I get to know you a lot closer and a lot more than I need to, than I want to. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, it is what it is, because you've got to have my back, and you've got to know that I've got your back. So, like, I learned a lot about other people. You know, some of my closest friends in the military I made on all of my deployments. I still talk to a handful of them. I don't talk to everybody as much as I should, but I Facebook stalk them. I watch what they're doing online. Some of them I'll never talk to again, just because of how they've gone.
So were there soldiers that ever went the opposite way? So, like, you and I sit there every day. We got to know each other so that we have each other's backs. Were there ever soldiers who were like, "Yo, fuck this guy. Like, I'm gonna just let him do whatever"?
Yeah,
there was.
Yeah.
How was that handled as far as like the group?
So it depended on. So, like, not everybody. Well, I want to say not everybody hated any particular person at one time, but no, there were a couple. It came down to how you acted around people on how that went down. First deployment, there was a specific NCO that everybody hated because of things he had done on the deployment and the way he was with the soldiers, that when we got to Kuwait, like when we came back from Iraq, we drove our Humvees all the way back down to Kuwait. And when you get there, you got to unload all your magazines. Yeah. And there was probably 3 magazines worth of bullets that had his name written on each bullet.
Fun.
Muggs was
like
ready.
Etched in,
Like, they wrote it in Sharpie. Like, they were ready to, like, this magazine is for him, and they had it stuck in their ammo pouch off to the side. Yeah. Like, this is what they're gonna use against the enemy. Yeah. But this one's for when homeboy gets out of hand.
Were there incidents like that? Were there incidents
we didn't have anybody who actually, like, went forward on that stuff, but
like, you got to imagine. I mean, so you saw
But you have
probably
personality.
4 years out there. Everyone was a year, so you got 4 years out there.
Yeah.
How often was it that a soldier just went fucking crazy?
Very rarely, honestly. Like, we had people do some really dumb shit, but like, you could tell when somebody was off. You know, like,
yeah, I mean, it's in their
like we have
everyday shit.
Right. We have, you know, we get those classes that we hate going to.
Yeah.
Where they're like, you know, pay attention. Like, you're gonna notice when somebody's off, and you notice it, and so you try to catch it as quick as possible to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, some people are really good at hiding what's going on, but at the end of the day, like, if enough people know them, like, nah, this dude's off right now.
Yeah, like something's going on.
Right. Like, if you came to work and you just wasn't talking to nobody, you wasn't cracking jokes.
Yeah, someone be like, yo, what the fuck
like,
is
somebody's going to come up to you and be like, hey, see, you need to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of like with me. Like, if I'm not hanging out and talking with everybody, like, somebody's going to probably notice that.
Yeah.
You know, so I talk to everybody so that they don't notice when I got shit going on. Nah. Kidding.
All right. So first couple deployments, you're a private, first like 2?
So first one I was a E4.
Okay.
Second one I pinned E5. Well, I went from E4 to corporal to E5 to sergeant, and then my third and fourth I was staff sergeant. E6.
So what's the transition like from being like, hey, I'm a private or a specialist, don't really have a lot of shit to do here as far as like that's in my control, to like, hey, a lot of the shit is like you need to have your men a certain way.
So I'm a little different in how I operate. You know that from us being around. Like, I didn't care what my rank was. Like, if something was jacked up, I was saying something.
Yeah.
If something needed to get done, I got it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't wait to be told. Like, that part where it says, you know, take initiative and, you know, do that. Like, I was good at that. Real good at that, because I knew what right looked like.
Yeah.
I knew what it was supposed to be ever since I came in.
So
like, I knew what right looked
were you like that as a specialist as well?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like, so there wasn't any like crazy like.
No, my conflicts came between. So as a specialist, my conflicts came in with NCOs on my first deployment, because they tried to use the whole, well, you're just a specialist role against me, and it's like, because like I had to go sign for trucks.
Yeah. Or
for a Humvee from somebody, and they're like, oh, well, who's going to be driving it? Who's the TC? Like, they went down that list.
Yeah, the whole.
And I was like, look, I'm here to sign for the truck for this thing. And they're like, well, who's the TC? And I told them, they're like, well, he needs to come sign for it because he's a corporal. I'm like, but I've been in the Army longer than him.
Yeah.
Like,
just kind of trying to throw you through the ringer.
Yeah.
Specialist.
Like, I'm like, nah, man, like, it doesn't work that way. We don't necessarily pin, like, we didn't pin corporal on just everybody.
Yeah.
And like, everybody that was giving me shit about it, about him being a corporal and me only being a specialist, like, y'all do know the story about how he got promoted to corporal. Like, let's not play like we don't know what happened. Like, it wasn't supposed to.
People were in people's favor or what?
Kinda. I'll explain that offline. But it was just one of those things. I'm like, okay, you're going to play this game, fine. So I went and I got him. I was like, you go get it. He's like, but they told you to go. No, you're a corporal. I'm a specialist. You go get it. So I played that game.
You got to play the game.
But my second deployment, like, my platoon sergeant was gearing, like, he was trying to gear me towards getting promoted. So he gave me more responsibility. I had already been a section chief as an E4. Like, I had already had soldiers under me. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But
you had a lot of that responsibility.
Yeah, I already had the responsibility early in the game. Because after my first deployment, you know, that's 2004, everybody PCS'd. Like, all our NCO leadership was PCSing.
Yeah.
So it left nothing but specialists.
Yeah. And I mean, you got a fucking patch on you next time you
got to run.
Yeah.
You know, but our mission set changed from our first deployment to our second deployment. My third deployment was even different. My fourth deployment was even different. So, like, I've had a different deployment every time.
Yeah.
But we just, like, my platoon sergeant was like, no, you've got the knowledge, you've got the ability to be a higher rank than what you're wearing. And he asked me to explain why I wasn't wearing anything higher. And I gave him the rundown, and he's like, okay, we're going to fix that. And so he gave me the responsibility so that it was easier for him to pitch me going to the board.
Yeah.
Even though he knew he didn't have to.
Boards were different then too, though, right? Well, like compared to what they are now.
So I haven't been to one of the new boards, but the boards, the boards were different. It was like strictly general knowledge. It was worth points. Like you had to go in, you had to be on your stuff. The first sergeants could say yes or no. Certain battalions had rules. If you didn't have a score of this or higher on the board, you, regardless of everybody said yes, you weren't going to make it.
Shit.
You know, different things like that. Now it's just a go no go.
Because like it seems like once you're a specialist now, it's kind of you're pushed. You're like, hey,
right.
Go to
Back then, they could counsel you and say no, you're not ready, and you know now it was on them to train you to get ready.
Yeah.
But sometimes they didn't. You know, but I knew what I was doing. I may not have been the best person in the board when I went in there, but they already knew I was holding the position.
Yeah.
They knew what I was doing.
I mean, yeah, they knew
So
what you were doing,
no
what you're
question,
capable of.
Right, there was no question of whether or not I could do it.
Yeah.
So mine was kind of like, I still went through the ringer. I still, like, when I reported so I went to the board 3 times. First time they sent me in, they kicked me out, like, right away. Like, I walked in, reported, and got
the
kicked
uniform?
out. It was the mustache.
Oh, fuck.
Supposedly. In reality, they sent me in, kicked me out in order to keep me off the automatic promotion list.
Okay.
That way I couldn't get automatically promoted.
Yeah.
Went to the next board, and we went with a different battalion. The sergeant major had to leave in the middle of it, so it was a 2-2 vote. So one of them had to change. My first sergeant actually changed his mind. He's like, he marked no. And he came back and told me, he's like, look, you know, it was really close. We'll get you on the first one when we're downrange.
Yeah.
Like, cool. So we did that. And then walked in, got it out the door. I got promoted to corporal right before going to the board. Like, I been corporal on January 1st of 06. Went to the board on the 3rd. Stepped in. Special Corporal Tressider reporting. And Sergeant Major's like, hold on. When did you pin? Told him 3 days ago. He's like, okay, don't worry about it. And then we just rocked on with the board.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we went through, did all that, and then out the door.
So even with like the sign up for the trucks and everything like that, with the boards, it seems like things can. I guess that's not really political, but kinda. It's just like.
Oh no, there's political.
Like so how has politics affected your career in the Army?
So, back in the day, you know, they had a 90-day window where they could evaluate you before they send you to the board. If you were in that zone to be sent to the board, they had up to a 90-day window to evaluate you and then decide whether or not to send you. So, politics side of it, once I got close to that 90 days, they sent me to the other section. And then they started the 90 days over. And then they sent me back to my other section. Up. Like, they played that game.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
So how do you get out of it?
You don't. You got to wait till they leave, honestly.
So you just kind of take it?
Yeah, I just kind of took it on the chin. Let them know to their face exactly how I felt about it.
Yeah, like, you're not stupid. You see it happening. Like,
regardless of what they couldn't come at me and, like, get me for any kind of disrespect or anything, because I went in, you know, I went straight to them, like, respectfully, by the book, but I told them this is fucked up. Like, I know exactly what you're doing, and that's fine. Put the shit on paper instead of fucking pushing me, because that's the other reason they did it that way, because otherwise they would have had to write the counselings to explain why I wasn't being sent. Yeah. They didn't want to write the counselings. Okay, well then send me to the board.
Trying to dodge paperwork, but also not trying to send you.
Right. So, okay. So I played the game. And then, like I said, when we got back, they all left, and I moved on.
So, was there a point in maybe like when you hit staff sergeant, when you hit sergeant first class, was there a point where the politics dropped or where it got more political? And
the politics in and of itself are always there. It's about whether or not you let it mess with you, right? Yeah. So, like, I know the politics that are going on. Yeah. Like, even when I was here and I was the first sergeant for 9 days.
Yeah, the whole week and a couple days.
But
I mean, shit still changed.
Sergeant Major didn't want me to be the first sergeant.
Yeah.
Like, he had signed it to somebody else. But that other person was busy doing other shit and couldn't take that responsibility right away.
Yeah.
So I stepped up and said, hey, I'll do this for you, until I go on leave, and then it's yours. Like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like I got put in position and then got ripped out.
Was that the person who took over right after?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I got put in and ripped out. Like, we went in and they knew I was only sitting in there while he finished up what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. But
so the politics.
But at the end of the day, too, like, because I got here and it was no question, I'm gonna retire.
Yeah.
Right. So like that kind of steered a lot of what was happening too here, like as an E7. But like I saw it as an E6. There's politics in Big Army that we don't see.
Yeah.
But there's no explanation of why I didn't make E7 earlier than I did, and why this guy did make it as early as he did. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for why that happens, other than politics. But, that's out of our control. We can't handle that. So now, like, in-house politics, I don't let it play. Like, I've gone toe-to-toe with platoon sergeants when I was at E5 and in E6. Like, I went toe-to-toe with them. Like, in their offices, making sure they understood under no certain circumstances, like, hey, bro, like, no, you're not going to do me nor my section like that.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
So it was like, we sat there and, like, whether they liked me or not, it didn't matter. Because as long as I wasn't doing anything unethical, immoral, it didn't happen. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing everything right by the standard, that's what it is. If you're doing everything right by the standard, they got to do their own shit right by the standard. All right, so NCOs in the Army, what has been, or who has been an NCO that you've looked up to, that you've taken things from?
So, in and of itself, the way it works is you look at every NCO you work with, right?
Yeah.
You have to look at every one of them and take the good and the bad, right?
Yeah.
We had this conversation offline.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking it's a good conversation.
Yeah. So you have your toolbox, right? So they tell you got your toolbox and they want you to put everything good you like from somebody in that toolbox. No, you need to put everything good and bad in that toolbox, but put it in different parts of the toolbox. Like, this is shit I don't want. This is shit I do want. This is the happy medium, because you're not going to be able to do you're not going to be able to redo everything somebody has done that was good.
Yeah.
Right? What you want to do is you want to avoid doing the stuff that was bad. But some of my biggest influences on how I am is good side. My chief when I got to Korea the first time, my section chief then, because he had a different outlook on how to get things done.
Yeah.
My second chief when I was in Korea the first time showed me how not to be really heavily.
Funny how that follows up in Korea, like one person.
And so between him and my first section chief when I first came in the Army, those two showed me what not to do. But I took a lot from my first actual section chief when I got here to Korea the first time. A lot of my leadership is based off of what he showed me, and then I take more of the bad from everybody. Like, no, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I've had a handful of dudes that have shown me how to talk to people. You don't have to yell at people. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to yell at anybody. Some people require it to get your point across, but at the end of the day,
I've heard how they do BLC a little bit like that.
So at the end of the day, we all signed the contract to come in.
Yeah.
Male, female, doesn't matter. We all signed the contract, so you're grown-ass people. You're adults when you come in. There's a handful that came in at 17 years old with waivers and stuff, but they're not even allowed to be issued weapons.
Yeah.
They can't come to Korea. They can't deploy. Like, they have to wait till their 18th birthday and then they can do things.
Yeah.
But I found it's easier to sit and talk with people and have conversations. It's all right.
No, that's good.
But we have conversations and we do, like, I found y'all meaning the soldiers react more to the disappointed dad talk
Yeah,
than the yelling.
I think that gets
because you know how I am. Like
Yeah.
me specifically, you know how I am.
Yeah.
You know I'm down to.
And I think that's
hang out
why
and
it's
talk.
more effective with you, is because we know like
Right.
you're with it. You're gonna
Yeah.
tell us when we fuck up, but you're also gonna be there just like shooting the shit with us, whatever.
Right.
You're gonna be able to be someone who can influence other soldiers, not necessarily by just screaming
Exactly.
at them or telling them like,
Because
hey,
what
fuck
I
up.
tell y'all down there, like, hey, police your own house.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Police your house, and keep me out of it.
Yeah.
If I have to get into
Don't
it,
fucking tell me what goes on. But
well, no,
make sure
I
you're
mean
okay.
not that way. I mean, like,
Yeah.
if you police up your own, you keep your fellow soldiers in line as a group, then I don't have to step in and go the disappointed dad route.
Yeah.
Now, when stuff happens, we take care of it at that point.
And I mean,
Like we saw when
yeah.
last time, like,
And I think, well, for me personally, that was something huge. The incident that took place last time, where it was something like I talked to you, I talked to Kohlberg and to you, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna handle this, whatever,
Yep.
whatever. And
we got it handled,
It-
and
it helped.
That's where it needed to be.
it was one of those things though, like that. I put that in my toolbox of like, hey, I'm not just gonna jump down somebody's throat when something's wrong.
Because not, and now let's you asked me, so I'm gonna ask you, like, how many NCOs do you think would have been that way?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
I think a lot of
It would've
NCOs
just
want
gone straight downhill from there.
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
But why?
But that's a huge thing. The Army is so about keeping it at the lowest level,
Yep.
but not a lot of people practice that.
Exactly.
A lot of people are like, oh, I want to, or what it feels like, at least as lower enlisted side, feels like a lot of people are like, oh, I want to look good to so and so. I'm going to tell them that I solved this problem,
Yeah.
and that's what
I'm
it's
not
like.
worried about. I'm not worried about accolades. I'm not worried about getting all the things. You know, I don't need to look good in other people's eyes. If I'm doing a good job, they're gonna recognize me because they know I've done a good job.
Yeah,
I don't chase awards. I don't have all the chest candy that everybody else has. I don't need it.
yeah,
I've got what I need.
yeah.
You know, and
I mean, you're retiring. You made it
well,
through. Like
that. But at the end of the day, you know, if I give you my phone number back in the States, when you get back to the States, I can almost guarantee you at some point in the next handful of years, you're gonna call me and be like, "Hey, Sergeant T, can you help me out with this situation?"
Yeah.
Whether, you know, hopefully not financially because I ain't got
Nah.
you that. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
even if you just want to talk, because I still have soldiers I know that have gotten out that I still talk to. They'll call me and be like, "Hey, Sergeant T, da da da," and we'll discuss things
yeah.
because that's how we got to
Well, I
be.
mean, even
Because it's
growing
about
up in the
building-
Army and like
Yeah.
being at the level you're at now, you've probably played dad to a lot of younger soldiers.
Yeah.
And like that's something that I don't think that'll ever leave you.
No.
You know, like you just have that. You got the dad vibes.
I have. I mean, check the fucking shirt, Thor, right? You know,
Hell yeah, you even got it, dad.
like a dad, just way mightier. You know. I got the T-shirt that matches instead of his arms crossed with the tattoos. He's got a beer belly.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of a gut.
Just keep the stash.
Yeah.
And it's you.
It's the same look except he's got a beer belly and then he's holding the beer. He's got a stogie.
Yeah.
You know,
Fucking-
same. Either way.
Same but different.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Like
it is what
I'm gonna
it
go
is.
like 2 more questions.
All right.
3. As you prepare to retire, what do you think you're gonna miss the most about the Army?
I want to say I'm going to miss the interactions with the soldiers, but I'm not, because I'm still going to be around a military installation, so I'll probably end up working there, and so I'll be able to have conversations with soldiers, but the actual like one-on-one stuff like this
Yeah.
probably be the biggest thing that I miss, honestly.
All right.
Because I know I can influence you guys at this level right now.
Yeah.
As an E4, E5, E6, and E7, I was always able to influence because I have what they call an old soul, because I've been in the system, I've been around the system, and I just have old man knowledge or wisdom
Yeah.
that I can impart and try to get you to the right places. I took the time coming up to learn the different things that can help soldiers. I got into the regulations. I read stuff. I kept up on a lot of regulations. I jumped into other jobs and learned how to do different things so I can help, and I have no problem helping.
Yeah.
So
Which I think
that's what I'm probably gonna miss the most.
Yeah. And I think a lot of soldiers are probably going to remember you for that.
Right.
As far as like he helped when A, he didn't mean to, B, I had no clue he knew how to do this shit.
Right.
Like even just talking about my job and like, hey, I want to sit down and teach you some stuff about the job. Like, I
Even
had
though
no
we
clue.
haven't gotten to it,
I haven't
but
gotten
we
to
do.
it, but I had no clue you even knew about this
Yeah.
and stuff like that until that happened. All right, next one, which I mean we kind of get every day from you, but like the people who watch, they don't know anything about the Army most of the time because they're like probably about to go to basic or they're about to go to AIT, whatever. But what's something that you would give? What's some type of advice you would give to younger soldiers just getting into the Army?
Not everybody's out. Well, okay, so there's a couple pieces, right? So, not everybody's your friend. Not everybody's out to screw you. Understand, not everything's personal. Like, you get in an astro and it's not always personal.
Yeah, I learned that one.
It's hard.
I learned that one.
You're not back home anymore. You're not on the block.
Yeah.
You're part of the biggest gang in the world now because you're part of the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
We all wear the same clothes. We're told where to be, when to be. You know, the only job in the world that you literally just have to show up in the right uniform and you won't be fired.
Yeah.
But you're going to get paid good-ish. I mean, if you take everything into consideration.
I mean, yeah, we get
You make decent money.
Yeah.
Your housing's paid. You know, your medical's paid. That's what helps to increase. Like the dollar bills may not show it, but when you look at what you don't have to pay for, you're making good money.
Yeah.
And the amount of time off we get.
Yeah.
Like 30 days paid leave, not to mention all the federal holidays,
Yep. Out here,
Training
we got the Korean
holidays.
holidays.
other random holidays.
Yeah.
You know, different things like that. So you can't, like, if you're trying to stick to the same mentality of what you had when you were back home, this isn't the place for you.
Yeah.
You got to understand, you have to conform, but you don't have to. You have to conform, but you don't have to change.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. You gotta come into it's the Army. You have to do your job. You have to do what you signed up to
Right.
do. That doesn't mean you have to change your moral compass, your values, things like that.
Right. But if your moral compass doesn't
line up with the Army,
you shouldn't have come in the first place.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
the Army says, you know, the values we operate off of is leadership, right?
Yeah.
Loyalty, duty,
respect.
selfless service,
Yeah.
honor, integrity, and personal courage, right? So now let's flip that into a different mindset, right? Okay. So we know, you know, if you're coming in, you research it, you know what the Army values are, you know what the definitions are, but let's take it a different route, right? Okay, so loyalty. Back home, you're loyal to your family,
Yeah.
right? That's your family. Being loyal, right? Duty. You have the duty to provide for your family, right?
Yeah.
Respect. You respect your elders. You know, you were taught as a kid, hey, respect your elders, right?
Yep.
So respect is both earned and given, right? You should always give respect to the higher positions,
Absolutely.
and you need to make sure that they earn your respect,
Yeah.
right? They don't have to respect you, but at the same time, you got to understand you're respecting the rank, not the person.
Yeah.
You don't have to respect the person, but you still have to show that respect to the rank.
Which is a very fine line.
Very fine line. Selfless service. You're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing this for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's to put some money in the bank so when you get out, you don't plan to make it a career. You get out, you got some money put away, so you can jump off, or maybe you have family back home that you're helping to support. That's selfless service. You're providing for your family,
Yeah.
right? Honor. Your word is your bond. The end. If you say you're going to do something, do it.
Absolutely.
Right? That's it. Don't, at the same time, you know, the Army says, you know, do what's right even when no one's looking.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know, your word is your bond. If you tell me you're going to be somewhere, be there. If you tell me you're going to do something, do it. I understand if it takes a little bit of time, but like something I know that only takes a handful of minutes.
Yeah.
Or if you can't make it in the timeline, like call somebody and be like, hey, bro,
Let them know.
I can't do it right now. I'm still going to get it. It's just going to take me a little longer.
Yeah.
Integrity, that kind of folds in with your honor. Like, if your integrity gets broken, like, nobody's going to respect you at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
what are you at that point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and then personal courage, you know, basically it's facing adversity, right?
Yeah.
So you made a personal choice to come into the Army. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter your reason. You made a choice to come in.
Yeah.
So have the personal, like, I tell my soldiers this all the time, like, if you wake up one day and you're like, okay, this ain't for me, like, I'm done with it, this just isn't for me, finish your contract. The contract you signed initially to come in, finish that contract and go home on a good note.
Yeah.
You set the terms for how you go home.
Yeah.
Don't screw it up and get kicked out, because then
You're fucked.
there's a lot of
You're
people
fucked.
now that know how to Google, you know, GTS, Google that shit. They Google why you got kicked out.
Yeah.
And then that now starts to hurt you on the back end.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to leave a 4 or 5 year gap in your employment history of why you haven't been employed. You're going to put you were in the Army. Okay, let me see your documentation. Oh, I don't have it. Oh, don't worry, we'll get it.
Yeah.
And they can get it. They just got to call the VA. They pay a couple dollars. and 90
They
days
figure
later,
out,
90 days later, they get your DD-214. They know why you got kicked out.
Yeah.
They ain't going to hire you.
That's not a situation you want to be
So,
put in.
like me personally, I always go. So they usually say unit or mission, unit, family. My family always comes first. I'll
Yeah.
tell people that in a heartbeat. Now they're like, well, what about your soldiers? Understand, my soldiers are my family.
Yeah.
Like right now, you guys are my family, right? How do I know I've made an impact on y'all? Because when I went on leave and I came back and all y'all were happy, I came back.
Yeah.
Then I got moved down to Alpha, and then I came back. Like, I come up here all the time, and y'all like, you back? No, not yet, It is what it is.
Yeah.
I probably won't come back to HHB. It is what it is.
But the effects have been there.
Have been felt.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's how I see it.
So
I go family, unit, and then mission.
Yeah.
Because the mission can change at any time.
And I mean, the mission is essentially fucked if you don't have the other two.
Right.
So it's just one of those things, like everything has to line up.
Yeah.
All right, so that's for soldiers coming in and everything like that. NCOs, what's the biggest thing that you would give to a future NCO? Maybe they're a BLC chilling watching this, or like you think of like Sergeant Morales or Sergeant Muniz, something like that, trying to advance their career.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Right. Plain and simple, the best thing to do is have empathy. Like you have to understand where soldiers are coming from. With the younger NCOs now, like they were in y'all's shoes a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Like we're promoting so fast now. But they've got to understand where they came from, right? As an NCO, you got to remember where you came from. You got to understand you were that soldier at one point. So you wanted somebody to look out for you. You need to look out for your guys. So taking care, the way it should work is, you work section to platoon to battery to battalion, right?
Yep.
That's the way the relationships need to be. So get your section on board. They don't need to always hang out, but they need to be able to understand they can come to anybody in the section and talk.
Yeah.
They gotta have. Then you work towards the platoon being close knit. Then you come to the battery. That's usually as high as you're going to get for the most part. At the same time, you need a venting board. You need to find somebody who's willing to be your venting board. But you got to be willing. I'll explain. You got to be willing to be somebody else's venting board. So what I mean by that, you got to find that one person you feel confident that you can sit there and tell them your problems, or just let off all the steam and know that they're not going to run off and tell somebody, right? Yeah. At the same time, you got to be willing to be that person for somebody else.
Do you suggest same rank? Do you suggest somebody out of the military?
It doesn't matter. You've got to find who works for you. right? I've got people in the Army that are my venting board, and then I got people outside the Army that are my venting board. My wife's one of my biggest venting boards, and I'm a venting board for her. Like, she apologizes all the time for telling me all the issues going on at her work, and I'm like, babe, it's okay. Yeah. I understand. I'm not here to judge you. Like, give it to me. I'll take it because I can handle it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't always have to be a fixer. And that took me a long time to realize. You don't always have to be a fixer. Sometimes people just want to tell their, just let out all the problems and it fixes itself just because they got it out. So you got to be willing to do that and, be able to do your research, find the places on post, the services on post to help soldiers, whether it's the Ed Center so they can get education, whether it's ACS so they can take care of their family stuff. ACS is a real good
ACS helped me do my budget.
Right.
Yeah.
They are a great resource. Everything from soldiers with brand new families, because they have a new parent support group. They have a family advocacy program. Like, they have AER, ACS manages the AER stuff. They do budgeting classes, financial management.
Yeah, they were actually super helpful.
All kinds of craziness. So learn the programs, learn where they are, learn the people, the points of contact, so that you can make sure your soldiers get the help they need.
Yeah.
And not just soldiers either. Help your fellow NCOs
do the
learn this stuff.
Yeah.
Because maybe they're going through some stuff and they need the help. And sometimes they don't want to go up. They want to go across peers. So, hey, come on, let's go. And take them.
I should probably have more, but I always keep a behavioral health card on me just in case anyone needs it.
Right. That too. Utilize behavioral health. I didn't go for years. I mean, first time I started going was when I got here this time. I have PTSD, but I have it managed.
Yeah.
So I'm not not chasing percentages for PTSD, because my case of PTSD is I've been so resilient from an early age, and my coping mechanisms are healthy enough-ish that it doesn't require medical help to fix. So I have very healthy coping mechanisms. So find healthy coping mechanisms. I went just to be able to let off steam.
I was going to say, do you think behavioral health, if you can't find somebody to put that on, you think behavioral health would be a good place to go?
Yeah, but you got to go in there and explain what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something my doctor, me and her sat down with initially, and we talked about it and like, look, this is the plan, right? So I was going, once a month, roughly? And so it was like, I go in there, hey, how's it going? We talk about some stuff real quick, catch back up, make sure we're all together. I ask her how she was doing, things like that. Like, I kind of turn it on her a little bit sometimes, but showing an honest care in what you're doing, because that builds those relationships. Like, don't just ask me how am I doing without you really caring if I'm doing okay. Like, if you ask, you want to...
Yeah, like, be genuine about it.
Right. Genuinely ask people how they're doing.
Yeah.
I understand the passing in the road, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, just like,
whatever. But, like, if I come up and I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? Like, how's the family? Like, I really care for you to tell me how your family's doing. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing NCOs and young officers need to learn. Like, how to be empathetic and how to actually show genuine care and be able to take care of soldiers. That'll help them further their career. Quit chasing promotions. Quit chasing that next rank. Quit chasing that next position. It doesn't hurt if you sit as a section chief for 4, 5, 6 years. It doesn't hurt. What's wrong with getting more experience?
Yeah. I think that's a huge point, honestly.
Right.
And I see it with my particular NCO, Sergeant Painter, is very empathetic and like has those things down packed. Like, if I need something, he's like, hey, boom, we'll go. Like, whatever it is, he'll take me there.
Take care of soldiers.
But that's something that I've been privileged enough to have. Sergeant Painter is my NCO who will do that.
Yep.
And not every NCO does that.
Exactly.
I think it's a good point. last question, in a few words, just what does the Army mean to you? Yeah, how to get one good question in there.
Okay. It'll be more than a few words because
that's fine.
But so the Army, in and of itself, as an organization, is a protector. We are the protectors. The end. Right? That's it. However, the Army has also given me family and stability. Right? I came from a jacked up situation early on in my life. Stabilized me as far as like, I was already kind of stable, but like gave me a steady job. So I didn't plan to make it a 22-year career, just the way cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
Gave me family as far as like, not necessarily my personal family that is my blood and my wife and my kids, but it also gave me soldiers that I consider family. I've got a buddy that I've been with him since 2002. I know more about his family than we know more about each other's families than we should. And it's okay. Because they know at any time they can come to us and we'll help them. I know at any time if I need help, they'll help us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we built those strong family bonds.
It's more than a coworker.
Exactly. And every unit you go to, you're going to find at least one or two people that are like that. But at the end of the day, you're not going to have a lot. Like, as you get older, you notice that your group of family and friends shrinks. But your bonds with the ones that you have get bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Turns into the value.
So protectors, stability, and family. There's your 3 words.
That's the Army.
That's the Army.
All right. It's my interview with Sergeant T. I'm going to wish him good luck on retirement. Sergeant T, thank you for being the man.
Appreciate it, brother.
That's it.
I told you I'd do this for you.
Yes, sir.